Today we're going over one of the most requested topics I've had, and that's automating these simple offbeat bass lines to make them sound cool, make them sound more unique, what to do, how to do it, all that good stuff. We're going to be going over those bass lines, the mid bass, some drums to go along with it, how they all mix together, and at the end we got a special gift for you, so stay tuned for that. Good chow. Okay, so going over the bass line, I'm going to touch on both how I did the automations because I did them differently for both the mid bass and the sub bass. But I both did them quite randomly, and I think that's kind of useful sometimes instead of doing the standard riser style automation, where if I did something like this. That definitely works in a lot of rollers. It works in offbeat bassline tracks as well, but maybe more so with ones that have a little more melody than this one, being that it's just a one note bassline for the most part. And then this one is just opening up a little differently. And together they sound like this. You might hear this delay rack here. This is something I love doing on my tracks. It should be set at -20, but just for video's sake so you can hear it. This is what it sounds like on its own, and this with the delay. So if I turn these off, what I'm doing is just, I grouped a delay to itself. So if you were to grab a delay on just your track here, you group it to itself, right click, and you open this up, you create a chain, and then you rename that to dry. So I did that over here. And then after this dry wet, I would have thrown on this compressor, and you take the audio input from the mid bass itself. So you'd open this up, hit mid bass, and then you'd select that dry parallel chain, delay parallel, dry, post effects. And then you bring the threshold down. So now it's getting out of the way of the original sound. If I had this all the way up, you hear it a lot more prominently. You put this down, and now you have that wide bass effect where it's bouncing back and forth. A little extra sauce that you can do, like a little sprinkle of Parmesan or something, you throw on this little erosion, which is a stock Ableton plugin, and just a touch of the sine wave erosion. And then you can also throw on just a touch of this wide noise. That's what you're getting. Just a little bit of that. So you have the sine, and then you have the little dirt just that sits on top. And that just gives it a little more high-end presence, so the bass echo shines just a touch more. This is what these two sound like together. You'll see it here, what's happening. So the way I explained it in the Instagram short or YouTube short that I made was, it's like there's a ball that's rolling down this little hill, ski hill, right? And that's what's controlling how fast this ball bounces back and forth on this automation. So this envelope 1 is on top of this cutoff here. And what we're automating is the decay and the sustain using, I think, one of these. What are we automating here? No, envelope 1. Okay. We're just automating this. So we clicked on this. This is the decay. If I just have it down here, it's a nice tight sub bass, that's fine. But if you start to move it along, so that's essentially what I did. And how I did that was I just grabbed this little marker tool. You can hit B on your keyboard and you can draw in automations, right? So I would have just done something like this and then shaped them a little bit. And it can be random, it's fine. You can do the automation where it's kind of like this. maybe this part goes up a little bit. Or it's just flat the whole time. You can do that, but with the MIDI I had and the style of track, I just didn't think that would fit. If you look at the MIDI, we zoom in here, it is just all on the eighth notes. I'm not using velocity, so we can put that down. And the special thing here, or the something to note maybe, is that sometimes you can shorten the MIDI note lengths, and it makes a big difference because this preset itself has release at 136. If I were to turn this down, you'd be able to hear it. It's a lot more plucky. There's just a touch more that hangs on when you have that release up. So given that the release is higher, some of these notes needed to be shorter. And I think the one thing that you can use here as well, or another thing you can use here as well, is this doubled note on this last half beat. So you don't necessarily have to do it on this one. You could have done something like this. See, that works too, having it early. It's just preference really when you can throw in that extra little bit of sauce there. But don't be afraid to play around with that. And what I would do personally is probably set up 2 bars like this, do the Control L loop the area thing, so then the whole 8 bars is set up. And this is what I'm talking about, like first stage of creation, and you're writing in your bass line. So this is just 2 bars now. And what I would do from here is duplicate that, and then on this second one, make one small change somewhere. And then duplicate that, and then somewhere at the end here, you make some kind of other creative decision. That was a fun tangent. And regarding the sound design, I'll show you the preset one more time. This is from Kick and Bass. I do not know where you would find this. I think these might be custom waveforms, not too sure. But MG low 24, set pretty low. FX, a little bit of OTT. The hyper is on. This envelope is also affecting this frequency, so it's kind of just like a backstop for that first automation after these effects come in. And I have this duplicated here just because I wanted to show you how easy the sound design can be. So this is our original sound here. Actually, no, it's not. Hold on. So if I open up this one, I just want to show you, throw on a triangle wave, or even a square wave, but you might need to quiet it down a little bit or do a little more cutoff. Square waves has a lot of high frequencies. But what I want to show you here basically is just that you can shape these however you want. That could work. Even open up the unison maybe. Just sound design's great. Pick a preset, you can just switch one waveform. Like the presets that you get, you should be using them as like basically starting points on sound design. That's how I feel about it, at least. Okay, so now we have to talk about the mid bass real quick because I showed you the parallel delay, but I want to let you know just about how I automated this one because this one's a little different. This one I'm automating the macro cutoff, so I have this set to that. So this mod wheel dragged onto that. And you'll notice, well, I have a lot of release. That's fine. Put that back. So we're going to turn off the delay quick. And what this is doing is just allowing more high end to go through. because we do have the release up so high, that's why the sound stays playing. This is what it would sound like as we raised up, so that would have been my decision for why I had the release where I did. But again, just like the first one, we're kind of just setting it randomly on different spots to open up the high end and just give a touch more presence and like just a little bit of variance throughout the track, right? Because that's what we're focused on, not having things sound stagnant. And when you can get the right automation combinations, nice automation combination. When you can get the right automation combination and maybe add a little bit of sauce like this delay parallel rack, and you have a really good sub bass, a really good kick, everything just kind of works already, then you have a really good starting point. So now if I throw in the drums on the drop, talk about some things here. So you'll hear it's pretty prominent. We have this 16th note hi-hat. And if we look here, unfreeze this bad boy, we should have some velocity changes. So if you notice here, I'm doing this little loop action where I just have one beat looped, and it's just repeating these same 4 notes the whole time. Something you can do at this point, if you want to add just like a touch more difference, you split that up, maybe change something about this, highlight all of them, loop that again, and then you can drag this out. Now you have a different rhythm. And it's a 2-beat rhythm rather than a 1-beat rhythm. But anyways, I digress. These are swung in a little bit on top of having groove added to it. So not a lot of groove, about 29 dry wet mix on the timing there. But these hi-hats like this, make sure you play around with your starting positions, and to do it precisely, you just need to hold Alt, and then you get to drag them, the edges real precisely, and you can kind of, you get to play around with the swing, right? You can really get swingy. Our hats here, this one is a top loop that I justified a bunch and chopped up because there's a little bit of clap there. But one thing about this is this hi-hat here is adding a little bit of swing. It's pushed off that last 16th note, and that's repeating along with these hi-hats who have this one time every beat rather than twice. For every bar, I should say. Adding in the clap, we have a little bit of call and response here. So the first 4 have this last 16th note added. And then right there, we already respond with a reverse clap coming into the to the 3rd beat, or 3rd bar. And if you notice here, this is on the upbeat, and then this is on the last and beat. And we use this kind of as our framework for the next section until we have this fill that we used. We just use the claps for the fill all together. And we also have this guy, which was just a nice layer that I thought sounded nice underneath it. Okay, again, if you listen to just the intro, it's quite a simple drum beat. And then if you add in the bass, it's quite a simple everything else beat. One thing to add that I had turned off earlier is this little cowbell and other cowbell call and response. And I just thought that worked a little bit. If I throw in the hi-hats and the kick and bass. It doesn't hurt, right? Specifically for these types of bass lines, you need a lot of leads per, like, you might need some really good leads on the drop or a really good melody on top. Bars. Just some simple stuff that we can have. So this is just a simple respace. This would be some sort of saw wave detuned with just the filter opening up. So we can even load this up real quick, just find out what note we are on. F sharp, right? Yeah. I'll throw in that like that. Open up Serum. I have Serum 2 as my default now. It's scary, but we're doing it. That we're hitting. Yeah. It's basically just like that. Same idea, just on the downbeat. This comes in right away as a response on the next one. So it's like 1, 2, 3. And if you notice, we have the vocal coming in between. So it's basically 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 in terms of accents because of the vocal brought in here. And then we have the motif that I haven't showed you yet because this is a remix from Eurotrash is really high. We have the original sound. And if we unfreeze it here, I did have to do this erosion. Like I needed to get out a bunch of these frequencies. It just sounded quite dirty. So cut a bunch of those out and then added this erosion. Just gives it presence and then some compression and a little more EQ. And that's another bit of the motif in the song. So I believe this is just pitched, or yeah, it's the same sound. Like they're using the same sound the whole time. This is just pitched up and I had them separated. So along with the vocal and those 2 hits and the motif, we're kind of set. And if you keep the drums interesting and the bass interesting like we're doing, we have our full 8 bars ready to go. So this is something I tried to add. It wasn't fitting. It's like there's a world where I could have made that a little better and fit that in somewhere. So this one, all it is just double the length and you have the reverb tail on it. So this part's really fun because this was just a sample I grabbed from the kick and bass pack again. I used a lot of that on this one, which is just this, that sound. Which is just doing like a rolling bass line, which I do have velocity set up for that. So if you notice here, they are different volumes. And then I'm automating the decay of it. So if you watch this, this is just like in Serum, the attack envelope or the ADSR. This is getting longer. Whilst also fading out and adding in this phase mix. Phase Mistress. Changing the mix on that. And there should be one more. Yeah, this is where the automation is at the end. So I'm just cutting the low end as it goes. And this acts as like a fun little switch up on the second 8 bars of a drop. Something to note here, I have like a little teaser double clap, and then it comes in with the reverse. Isn't that nice? Something to note here, once you're going to be using a lot of effects, or maybe not, but you're going to be using some effects over the course of making tech house. Silence is the best weapon, so make sure to be cutting your sweeps and risers in those sections where it calls for it. So I really wanted just these to be the focus, just bringing the drums back. So I cut off everything. And then this is just a ride loop that I have repeating. And then it just goes down in volume and also gets filtered out. So I just have that, I froze and flattened that bad boy. I use that in the intro as well, which I didn't show earlier, but something to know. Just as a lead right into the break. So that's a lot of what I wanted to show you with this project. I'm going to be uploading this project file to my Gumroad, so check the link down below for that. I'm going to be putting it up for free. So I'm going to clean that up, and you can check the description for more. You rule. Go make some house music. Make it great. Call and response. Notifications. Subscribe. Like. Thanks.